So here's an overview of what we have for you today in this webinar. As I'm sure you know, there are many hundreds and hundreds of apps and online resources for language learning. This webinar is by no means an exhaustive list. It's meant to be an overview and a review of some of the most common or what we think are the highest quality resources that are out there. For me personally, I know that if I go to select an app or a resource, one of the biggest obstacles is sometimes I just feel overwhelmed by how many there are and which one to choose. So hopefully this webinar will break it down a little bit. At the end, we'll give you a list of all the apps we cover in the webinar, along with an extra list of language-specific ones. So the ones that we're going to look at in this webinar are language general. So all of them support at least 4 languages. And you can see how we have it organized here. All right, so let's go to second poll. Here it is. Let's begin just by quickly getting your opinion on apps. Which statement best reflects your own opinion? All right, so here you can see the results. Here at DLS, we agree with the third option. A lot of apps you'll see, of course, have make big promises about teaching you a language in 5 minutes a day. As language learners, we know that that is not realistic. But we do think that some of them, if some of the better quality ones, can be a really convenient and helpful supplement to a class that you're already taking. All right, so without further ado, let's have a look at what we have for you. So these, first of all, we'll just look at general skills apps, so apps that look at grammar, vocabulary, listening, and reading. Here you can see an overview. It looked like everyone pretty much had tried out Duolingo. Can you give a wave of your hand if you've tried out the other two, Busuu or Mango? Or give a thumbs up or some kind of, okay. All right. Busuu and Mango are similar in goal to Duolingo, but they're much less translation based. In our opinion, they're a bit higher quality. They do require a subscription, although they have a free version. And they tend to be more conversation based, a bit more immersive, more useful than Duolingo. Whereas Duolingo is so translation heavy that you end up with random sentences about your dog drinking coffee or something like that. I've seen some pretty wacky stuff in Duolingo. All right, here are 3 other pretty popular apps. How many of you have tried these? Okay. All right. Well, Babbel is quite similar to the ones on the previous page, to Duolingo, to Busuu or Mango. It's conversation-based and general skills. Memrise and Drops are a bit different. They're really focused more on vocabulary. The main difference between them is that Drops is picture-based, whereas Memrise is much more translation-focused. Drops is one of those apps that has the 5 minutes a day promise. But if you want something to just work on your vocabulary, it could be a nice, very small tool to work on that. Okay, it looked like a lot of you had tried out. So those are the general apps, and now we come to some more hardy resources with authentic content and activities. These are obviously not 5 minutes a day. These are, you might sit down and take 10 or 20 minutes to look at these. It looks like a lot of you had used Language Ladder and NLFC portal. If you have, can you take a moment to share, maybe in the chat feature, what you liked about or disliked about Language Ladder and NLFC? If you have something to share. Okay, and if not, that's okay too. But if you have used them before, you'll know that they use authentic content. You can choose different modalities. As Valerie has pointed out, they are good for exam preparation, especially for the DLPT. They have lots of reading practice. And if you're using these a lot, it can be something that you can suggest to your teacher to incorporate in your lessons. You can select content together. Another extensive resource that's available online with content that's totally free to you is the DLI resources, which are offered at the basic and advanced level. And as you can see, there's quite a laundry list of what DLI has available. If you have used it before, if you want, you can share which ones you've used. If you've used Gloss or the Accents library, you can share that in the chat feature, just so we can see which are the more popular ones. But again, this is a resource that we recommend quite highly. The quality is good. It does rely on authentic resources often for Gloss, for the Accents library. And again, it's not as convenient as an app, but it is an excellent resource and offers quite a lot. So if you haven't checked it out in a while, we recommend giving it a look, passing through and seeing what they've got or seeing what new content they have. All right. Next, we'll look at apps or resources that focus on the receptive skills, listening, watching, and reading. First up is Netflix's new extension, Learn Languages with Netflix. This is fairly new. They rolled it out recently. It looked from the introductory poll like a couple of people have tried this already. If you have tried it, you can see, you'll know what the basic features are. This is a Chrome extension, so you just add it to your Chrome browser and then watch Netflix, and you can turn it on or off. It's available in quite a few languages, 34, and it even has a feature to recommend different TV shows or films based on your target language. The special features are John Hudson's Tried Defense Language Institute. All right, so John, I see you have a question about access to DLI. That's a great question. And I will circle back to that at the end of our webinar here, because all of this should be available to you for access completely free as a student. And
for DLI, it's open to public.
Yeah. So you should be able to access that without a problem. And we'll come back to that at the end. So the features here for Learn Languages with Netflix, as you can see, the big feature is that they offer subtitles both in the target language and in English. You can also adjust the audio speed if you want to slow it down. And you can set it to pause after each line if you need extra time to listen and digest what you're hearing and seeing. It also has a pop-up dictionary. If you hover over a word, you'll see the definition and examples. And you have to use this. Anna's asking about whether we can use this in the Netflix app. You do need to open it in Chrome. It is a Chrome extension, so you have to access it through Chrome, which would need to be on a web browser. As far as I know, it's not available on the app itself. And if you are just below the level 2, it's really a judgment call. I mean, this is still Netflix. I don't know about you, but for me, watching TV shows and films is one of the hardest things to do in my target language. But some films and TV shows are easier than others. If you are just below level 2, I would definitely say give it a try, see how it works, and you can tell if it's just monumentally too difficult for you or if it's something that's an appropriate challenge. And if you are at a level 1 or 1+, maybe watching it for 5 or 10 minutes a day, and then working up to watching episodes and watching whole films, entire films. It's also free, which is nice. Here we go, Bilingu app. This is a good one if you're not quite at the level for Netflix yet, but you still want listening practice and reading. It is free, although of course there is a paid version. It only supports 12 languages, so not as many as Netflix. It allows you to choose your proficiency level. And the feature it has is this side-by-side reading. This can be adjusted, so if you just want to see the target language, you can adjust it so the English disappears or the English is minimized. Or if you just want to focus on your listening skills and have the reading as a supplement, if you want to glance down from time to time, you can do that as well. I like that it has this feature of allowing you to save a personalized vocabulary list, which Netflix does as well if you pay the $5 a month. So that can be a nice way to get lots of vocabulary in context and really up the ante there. Okay. Yabla is another good resource. Again, if you're not quite at the Netflix level, but you still really want to work on your listening skills and getting exposure to different accents and authentic content. It has videos of native speakers who are recorded, who are doing various things, giving a tour of a popular site in the target region, or talking about something. The videos are fairly short, a few minutes, and they come along with activities. So they'll have games, gap fills, comprehension questions, etc. And again, like with Netflix, you can adjust the speed of the audio, and there's a pop-up dictionary along with the subtitles support. Okay. As we said at the beginning, there are so many resources out there, too many to cover in one webinar. So here are just a few others if you want to work on listening and reading. We'll put these at the end because either they're not quite as good or they don't support as many languages. So Woodpecker is one, only 4 languages. But again, it does have the authentic video content and it is free. Lyrics Training has a few more languages. It's free as well. It's kind of a one-trick pony though. It just has one type of exercise, which is a gap fill. So it's probably not going to keep you entertained day after day, but as a once in a while activity, it can be nice, and it does update with new songs. So that can be great if you don't use music a lot. You're probably familiar with News and Slow. Again, a great resource, but only in 4 languages. And then many of you have probably done this already, but if you haven't, of course, this is free and authentic, and kind of naturally grades itself to a better level for a learner, since a lot of the content is shorter for social media posts, and can be a great thing to talk about with your teacher. All right, our last section here is tools for speaking. So here we have an app, also available as a web version, called SpeechLing. This is actually a general app where it has content for grammar, vocabulary, etc. But we only want to look at one feature. It's the conversations feature you can see here. And this is a really interesting feature for an app where it offers you 3 prompts for speaking practice. So here you can see that they've given you an image, and you press record, and you record yourself talking for a few seconds, and then it submits that recording to a native speaker, who then will give you some feedback. And all of that's available for free. And it also gives you other prompts like answer a question, or it lets you freestyle, which just means talk about anything. It keeps all of your recordings in the audio journal, which you can see on the upper right-hand corner, so you can go and review those. Some of the drawbacks of this app are that the feedback you get from native speakers is not very thorough. However, the prompts that it gives are really useful. So one way you might kind of hack this is using the type of speaking prompts and maybe keeping your own audio journal and then submitting it to your instructor for feedback. If your instructor doesn't give you speaking homework, that could be a great way to introduce it into your class, and keep your own audio journal and get feedback from your instructor. Or you can pay $20 a month and hopefully get some better feedback from the native speaker. These are our final 2 apps for speaking. italki is actually a portal for finding a teacher, but they have a function that connects you with a community tutor, which is basically just conversation practice. So it is connecting you with a live person, and it's a bit more expensive for that reason. It's about $10 to $30 an hour, although I've seen some that are like $5 an hour or $35 an hour. The teacher sets their own price, and you connect with them there. So it's available in pretty much any language. They have a lot of variety available. It is a bit more of a time investment. But again, if it's something that you want to incorporate in your class, there's a lot of options there. And then lastly, there's HelloTalk. This is actually more of a chat-based app. Its interface looks like WhatsApp, if you've used that before. And you can use it for calls, or you can just use it for chatting back and forth. The drawback here is that this is a language exchange rather than just you working on your target language, so it's not going to be as time efficient. And then last of all, this is not an app per se, but just to facilitate speaking that you can use with your teacher. Many of you may have already done this with your instructor, but using the video recorder on your phone, using the voice record function in PowerPoint or Animoto or Explain Everything, these are apps for web resources, and there are lots like these. And doing some speaking tasks, submitting that to your instructor and getting feedback from them. If your instructor isn't already doing this with you and you want more speaking practice, then suggesting that this to them and bringing it up in class is a great way to get that. All right, that concludes our webinar. Before you go, we have a few handouts for you. We also have a quick survey for you to take. I'll be sending those to you in the chat, but in the meantime, as I send those to you, if you have any questions or any comments or would like to share about an app or resource that you've enjoyed, please unmute yourself and ask questions or start talking. And in the meantime, I'll send those to you in the chat function.